Hey, I think we're live. I'm getting a message that something went wrong. Please try again. But it says we're live. Hi, everyone. Can you see and hear us? Let me ask in the chat. Let's see. And it's a new platform for us. So we want to make sure.
See
Can
you.
see you. All right. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Lisa. So, everyone, welcome. This is a special event for us. I cannot see everyone that's in the stream tonight. I just see your chats because of this different platform. So I can't welcome you all like I normally like to. But, oh, wait, maybe I can. I found another button. Oh, I see. Okay. Nope. Doesn't show me your names. No big deal. Okay. So we are going to have fun tonight. I have with me and with us here two of my really good friends. We have Michael Graham and Elijah Tyndall. They're above me. That's why I'm pointing up on my screen, but they're probably not on yours. But what we're gonna do is it's gonna be a little. I'll introduce them in a second, but we're gonna do it kind of the same that we've been doing our previous things. There is a feature at the bottom of your screen. It's called a call-in feature. You'll probably see it. There's a raise your hand thing too. So when we a little later on, when we kind of get to that part, if you want to jump in with a question, an idea, a thought, whatever, and join the conversation for a few minutes, you'll just hit that button, and then I can accept you. A little, it's going to ask you to leave a comment, like what are you going to say, but you don't have to fill that out. You can just say like comment or question. It doesn't matter. It's just a necessary field that you can't skip. So just heads up, I don't need a whole sentence or paragraph on what you're going to say. Um, so, other than that, we're diving into creativity, expression, art, and we'll see where it goes. Um, we were talking about food a minute ago. That was nice. Elijah brought up fair food, and so we might get into that a little more. Who knows? Um, so I just want to introduce our guests we have on my upper left is Michael Graham. Michael Graham is a really good friend of mine, and we've known each other for 23 years. And Michael is a very creative storyteller. He calls himself, which I would say that's true. You call yourself a storyteller, and then a designer, you and a traveler, and a people person and a creator. And he's the real meaning of the word influencer. He's not like a wannabe. He actually has influence, which is beautiful. And Michael Graham and I years ago traveled the country for 3 months, and we didn't know each other too well before that, but after that, we knew each other real well, and we've been real tight ever since. And he's a tremendous guy, and I'm so glad he's here with us because he is every time when you hear him talk, he's always got wisdom to share, and it's amazing. So, Michael, thanks a lot for being with
So
us.
happy to be here.
Cool. Now say something nice about me.
Hey, listen, I could go on and on. Lane is one of the most special guys that I know, and yes, we did meet and kind of just like jumped into the thick of things. But it was like it shouldn't have happened any other way, and we have all of these beautiful stories and memories from. Um, just moving around in faith and with like creativity and courage, just going for it. Maybe we'll get into some of that, but we when I say going for it, that might sound vague, but we were really pushing for solutions and looking for ways to bring people together, bring healing, bring enlightenment, um, just like set hearts on fire
Hmm.
in the truest sense. And so yeah, we have a lot of beautiful history together, and we're still doing it. That's the dope things.
There's a lot more to do. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, we'll get into some stuff. Our other guest is a very good friend of mine, Elijah Tyndall. Elijah and I met about 6 years ago now, because I looked today. We were actually did a podcast. Everyone was like, "Oh, you're doing a podcast. You got to have this guy in your podcast." I was doing it at my house, and he walked in, and within 10 seconds, I really felt like, "Oh my God, I've known this guy forever." That's
Yeah.
immediately my reaction, and I felt so comfortable around you, and I just knew your heart like immediately. And that's it. Doesn't I'm not just saying that. Like that was really my experience, and so, um, and I liked him because he had more tattoos than me by a couple. Actually, I have zero. He has about 100. But Elijah's a comedian. He's a storyteller. He is a traveler, and he's a very creative guy. We have the best text message interactions because I always laugh, and he doesn't charge me for it, and that's nice. And he's just a fantastic, influential, beautiful human being, and he's kind of blowing up like with a certain crowd on TikTok. Like he texted me what like a year and a half ago. He's like, I'm kind of doing this thing on TikTok, man, and so now he's getting like millions of views every week, and by posting videos of sipping beverages, basically, right? Am I right or wrong?
Well, I post a bunch of different kinds of content, but the ones that get the most views are thirst trappy.
So
Yeah.
true. So
A
true.
real King Solomon vibe happening over there.
Oh. So, and the funny thing is, these two guys have never met. Mike and Elijah have never met, but they've been in my world for, well, it's for 6 years. But I'm so glad we're kind of having this conversation right now. Apparently, Mike. Oh, your screen flashed off. But so we're gonna dive in, and if you have questions or thoughts, just put them in the chat so we can kind of incorporate what you're saying, and then a little later, if you want to come up, we'll invite you up too. So I kind of just want to start off, guys. Like you're both very creative. You're both very prolific in what you do. Mike, would you touch on first? Just my heart for tonight is that people come away feeling inspired to create, like inspired to do whatever is in their heart to do. Could you like maybe share with us a little bit about what you create? You're very prolific. Like you're making stuff all the time. Mike has a this is one of his shirts, but he has a brand where they're making some of the coolest clothes coming out of Brooklyn. It's amazing. But can you go into your process a little bit from inspiration to actually just how did you even start down that path? Because that wasn't when I met you, you weren't doing that really.
Hmm. Um, well, it starts just from things that was that I wanted to exist. So I've never fantasized about anything in my life. I've never had a fantasy. If I think it, I get to it, and I make it to the best of my ability with whatever resources I have. And so that's just how I'm wired. And when it came to the clothing, I was making clothes for myself while I was having them made. And while doing that, going through that process, I'm learning. I'm just picking things up along the way. Oh, this is how this works. This is how this is put together. This is why they chose this trim. This is what this is called. This is how this is him. This is so I'm just learning and asking questions and paying attention, and learned how to do some things on my own. And so when I presented clothing to other people outside of just myself, it kind of clicked. I wasn't doing this in a way of like, let me start a business. No, it was something that I was already doing that I really enjoyed, and that it people talked about it a lot, enough to where I thought, oh, I should give an offering of things for other people. And it just worked. It clicked. And so that's where the clothing came from. And as I've gone, as this whole story unfolded, it's just like more and more things that I've been learning along the way. It's an interesting thing to where the new things that I find myself in are really just old things that I've had on the inside the whole time, or have been brewing, or that I've picked up along the way. So it's like um, a lot of how I create and why I create is really just is like this natural reflex of things that have entered my life. So it's conversations, it's travel, it's literature, it's film, it's art, it's all of these things. It's poetry. All of those things are just inside of me, and that's what comes out. That's all that comes out. I don't force anything. I don't chase any trends. I don't do any of that. It's just whatever is in here and feels like it's prime for like overflowing out. That's what comes out. And I just that's my way of doing it, right? I get filled up and then pour out. And so I can pour out into clothing design, into art objects, into film, into words, whatever it is. So clothing just happens to be one of the outlets, and it's found its way at the forefront of my life in these later years. And it's interesting because I didn't have a dream to do this, but I had a dream to do this, like, which is when I this is just living an expressive life, right? So whether that's through clothing or words or film, I'm gonna live this expressive life no matter what. And so that's where I found myself, here with this clothing brand that people quite like. It's kind of cool.
Mm, I love that. Elijah, I hit mute on your mic because we were getting a little bit of echo
Oh,
when you're talking, just unmute it. But I want to throw it to you though. I unmuted.
okay. Am I
Yeah.
echoing right now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Hmm.
What'd you say? No,
Hmm.
no, no, you're not echoing now. It's just when we're talking and your thing. So when you're talking, it's fine.
Okay. I'd like to apologize for the echo.
You're forgiven. Bro, what do you think about that expressive life and your inspiration, your creativity? How does it work for you? Is it kind of similar to what Mike was saying?
Yeah, I think it resonated with me a lot in the sense that I find myself walking in things that I had the capacity for before, but I didn't have the maturity for before. And that could even it can even look juvenile. It can look silly. It can be in other people's eyes. It can be like a pursuit that other people don't understand. So when I say maturity, it doesn't mean everyone's going to see it as, oh, there's a man of wisdom. It means there's something, a dream and a passion that's coming to life. An infant, they're in infant stage, but they have the capacity eventually to be walkers, be talkers, articulate sentences and paragraphs and write things. They were born with that, but there was a season of time when we grow into those things. And I find for me, that's how creativity works, is that I will, as a result of something else I'm doing, it starts to bring to life or starts to touch the nerve of something that, oh, now here's this other element for me. So how I got started was I pursued ministry. I worked in radio straight out of high school, and then when it was like when I was 21, that's when I just turned my life, and I was like, you know what, this this isn't working. So my story was not like I came to Christ because I hit rock bottom in every area. No, I had plenty of friends. I had a great job. I was a radio from a teenager to, and I just, there was just this empty. And so I was in communication from that time on. And so my thought was, if I'm going to merge into being a believer, a follower of Christ at that time in my life, what does that look like? And so I just turned on Christian television and I started, acting like those guys, and it didn't work for me. It did not work for me. Like it was, and I was just getting, like, what? And I finally, I got to the point where I was like, God, I, I used to be the life of the party. People used to like when I came around, and now I'm just like, and finally, I thought I was really telling God something. I was like, I'm not done being Elijah. And I feel like God was like, finally, now I can use you. Now you can be just
Ooh.
yourself. And so from that point on, I worked with and in churches for 15 years in a pastoral capacity of some sort. And then I merged into stand-up comedy because I felt like for me, there were things that I was not being able to access because there was the name pastor in front of my name. And I just looked at the story of Jesus, and whenever they come up here and they say, "Hey, master," "Hey, great teacher," and Jesus is like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 settle down with all the titles." And that's Jesus. And so my pursuit of this title and this thing, and so I just started to understand, like, hey, it seems to be that people are responding to laughter. I seem to have a connection on the inside with a desire to be a positive influence in the entertainment industry. And so, what do I do with that? And so then I just started doing open mics at comedy clubs because, and having been a professional speaker for 15 years, there's nothing like 3 minutes in front of a comedy club crowd of dead silence to just quickly show you, oh no, 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 you do, you don't know what you're doing. And so it was fun. So my thing has always been, and it continues to be, I see myself as this puzzle piece, and everybody else is a puzzle piece. So right now on Earth, we got 8.5 billion puzzle pieces. That's just right now. You know, and so the importance of us not just showing one side of the puzzle piece, because for 15 years, and to be honest, I've dealt with being a people pleaser for a lot longer than that, and trying to accommodate what I think other people, want from me, or what makes them happy. And I was only wanting this one side of the puzzle piece to show to everybody else. And then when I finally just started like, you know what? No, I'm more than just this part, because people were connecting with me here, but there was this big gap where it's like, I don't feel like I'm expressing. I don't feel like I'm connecting in these other areas of life. And when we do that, I feel like all the other pieces, they find their place as well. So someone that would not connect with me over here as this, a life coach, or a this or a that, they will connect in this other area. That So my importance in being the creative version of myself that God created me for, it's vital for the connecting of those other people. They need, and the people are going to connect to them. So it puts everyone in place whenever we express the fullness of who we are when we walk in that. That's my thought.
Dang. That was great. Mike, I heard you
But I'm
say
sorry about
ooh.
the echo.
Oh, I like that. The puzzle piece analogies. That's good. That's fun.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Mike? I know you were gonna say something.
No, I rock with it. I rock with this. This is it's like we have to. There's sometimes we can hear chat about being special and being unique and being different, and it's just a lot of words, man. You could just be yourself, and then you're already unique and different and special. That's it. Like, there's no like other formula. That's it. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Just be ourselves. The world, our family, our communities will be better for it, because then also it encourages others to be themselves. right? Like, and we just need more of that. Simple.
Yeah, that's right on. That's right on. That was a good analogy. That puzzle piece analogy. I like that. It's I feel like one of my most important things I can do here as me experiencing this is to discover what the heck this is. Like I'm by by this I mean this life, this person. Like we walk around sometimes and we think we know who we are, but if if you just take a step back, you've been discovering who you are since you were born. You really don't know. So to try to define yourself by what you've done or haven't done or experienced or haven't experienced, such a limited view of yourself. And when I think about creativity, it always goes into the realm of past the fear and intimidation into this openness of expression where there is no hardcore plan of how this is going to look, but there's a direction. And then in that process, in that journey, if I say yes to those inspirations, I discover more of myself. It's like you can't even sit back and define yourself as a puzzle piece. Like you might be seeing just the edge of the puzzle that you've done for 15 years. And but really the whole thing, if you actually could stand back and look at it, it would blow your mind. You know, wait, that's
Mm,
deep. We don't even know who we are. It's like our responsibility, our opportunity is to say yes to these inspirations that kind of don't make sense. Because if they made sense, you could define it. You'd know, oh, that's what this is. So it's like, that's what I love. That's why I see such a synergy between spiritual exploration and creativity. Because, like, the world of faith, like you mentioned faith earlier, Mike, it was like, to me, creativity is always a faith leap. Like, you're always,
absolutely.
yeah, touch on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. There's you can't it can't happen any other way. Actually, like faith is creative. Full stop. It is creative. And we always, sometimes we think about creativity in the way of art, right? And creativity is about solutions, finding solutions. Sometimes I find myself faced with problems and difficulties, and I get excited because that's just an opportunity to find a solution. When the pandemic hit, I was excited about it. Not like excited like yay, yippee, there's a pandemic. No, it was like how are we gonna get through this? How are we gonna figure this out? How am I gonna navigate and do the things that I know I'm here to do? Like how? And that's for me, I like that. Like I'm not a risk or adrenaline junkie or any thing of the sort, but I like a challenge. I like a challenge. I'm that 12-year-old boy that I've always been. That I've never left that. That's still in me. I hold on to that. And so I look at a challenge and say, how do we answer this problem? Not like I don't run from it. I don't get scared. And even if it makes me nervous, it's like, all right, what we doing? How we doing it? Let me think. Let me pray. Let me navigate. That's creativity. That's
Mm-hmm.
creativity. And that's the stuff that we need. That like if you look throughout time, that's like all of these amazing inventions were just s- problems being solved. That's what they are. So creativity, that's faith. Faith is creativity. They're hand in hand. It's Siamese twins.
It's so true. It's like, and Elijah, just jump in here. I muted you again because of your nasty echo. How dare you? But that's what I encourage in my kids and in people that I'm around in general. It's like I started really not liking it when people presented just problems to me after a while. I'm like, if you present to me a problem, then I'm gonna come up with a solution. but I would rather see you at least start to come up with a solution. Use your mind, use your creativity, because it's not a someone else is going to do it or a God's going to do it or it's all mixed together. It's like there's something in me that says yes to creating. There's something in me that has, I know I want to get over there, but there's these obstacles in the way. I don't really know how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to go. Like you mentioned earlier, like when we were younger and we traveled, we part of our adventures were eating off. Thank God Burger King had a dollar menu because we ate off the dollar menu more times than I can count. Like we would, a dollar burger and French fry, and we never went without. And we would show up at places. I remember this one time we go in to meet this pastor. We're having lunch with him, and me, you, and Justice, who was with us, and we started to just pray over the food, and he was just, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? Do you remember that? Like he just couldn't, because we were just simply living in this realm of God's with us, God's doing stuff with us, and there's always an answer. It's this realm. And when we prayed, it was just there, and he could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a tangible moment. And it's just so funny. It's just that's a real way to live. There's a real way to live like that. And I think both of your careers speak to that too. Careers, but you know what I mean? But like the path that you're on in life, it's like you didn't, like Elijah, you're not a 9-to-5 guy in an office building downtown. I'm assuming. You're fuzzy. Can you hear us? Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, jump in. What do you think?
Okay.
Like,
Well, I think that maybe the echo that you were hearing possibly is because I had you sitting on top of a drum. So I moved that drum, and I'm wondering if that resolved the issue. That's the first thing. But then I've got actually a thought connected to what we've been talking about. So I don't know if that helps, but I'm just letting you know the behind the scenes version of the studio here. Hey, so here's what I was thinking too, is that the faith in creativity, it does start with the assumption of a yes. And here's what it activates. It activates the creative process. God spoke. When he spoke, that's what, that conjured up. Genesis 1:26 and 1:27 says this. It says, God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him, both male and female, he created them. There's two words image used in that reference. And the first word image breaks down to God created man in his imagination. And the second one it breaks down to the DNA. So in each one of us, there is the God created first in his imagination. Now, that's where the creative process goes. And so God, just consider that, was imagining all of this, was imagining when he'd plop us out here into this atmosphere, because there would be issues and problems and things that our giftings that were given to us by him would only work in this time, in this place, in this person. And so there's that thought pattern of like, if I wish I would have been born back in the old Western days because I'd have been this. And no. We don't. I know the concept's good, but it wouldn't have worked. Our giftings, the things that it wouldn't have worked. No, none of us, we love air conditioning. We love toilets that flush. Those are things that we love. And that's part of this generation. But there was not a need for me before I showed up. And so the creative process, God's imagining, thinking this thing through, and then he speaks everything into existence with the creative words, with the creative expressions but those were imagined first. And so I think that when we're talking about the yes, that activates the creative process, that we assume. I'm in remembrance of a story in Esther chapter 4ish, where there's her uncle's named Mordecai, and Mordecai is he's speaking to Esther through a gate, through a messenger. He's given this guy that works on the other side. He's given her messages through this guy. And Esther is in the position where we would be so angered about the reality of where Esther is. I know this Esther story to a lot of people is like, oh, it's a beautiful story, but it's actually a story about a king that, he was mad at his wife because his wife wouldn't prance herself around in front of his friends. And she was like, no, and then his friends got it. Anyway, so Esther's in this position to possibly speak into the situation. And Mordecai tells her something. This is where I'm going with this. Mordecai tells her, he said, if you stay silent during this time, God will send help and deliverance from another source. But could it be that you've been called into the kingdom for such a time as this? Now, a lot of times in the faith circles and in Christianity and church circles, which I grew up in, and I am one of us, but a lot of times we will hear that, but could it be that you've been called into the kingdom for, we focus on that, well, you've been called into the kingdom for such a time as this. But what we don't really take into factor is that he didn't say, thus saith the Lord, you've been called. He said, could it be? He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, could it be? And so the assumption that I believe that we should make is, if it could be, let me just assume that it is. If it could be that I'm supposed to say yes to this project, if it could be, if this thing is introduced to me and I'm in this place at this time and I have the opportunity, I have the talents, I have the ability, I have the crafty, I may not know the end result or the finish line, but could it be that I've been called for this time? And I don't know about you guys, but I can always hear the direction and the voice of the Holy Spirit leading me, guiding me, and directing me the easiest and the best when the answer is no. So when I'll go into action with something and I'm about to do something wrong, there's just like, something's not, I'm not supposed to be part of this. And it could be something that's great, but it's just like, no, but until that moment, we're not operating in faith until we say yes to the could it be. And that could it be activates the faith, which activates the creativity. And then we find ourselves down the road saying, oh man, look at that. I used to be an infant that was in that cage and now, or that crib, and now I'm walking around. We're in the next stage of it, and we've solved another problem. I assumed it could be that I was supposed to do this, and I did, and look what happened. So that was my thought when you all were talking.
I like that. I like the opportunity of creating, like, instead of the hesitancy. That's a good thing about it is. I do the same thing, and when I think about it, like, the no's are pretty clear sometimes. It's like, I don't feel right about this person, this situation, like, something's not cool. But the yeses are broad. They're kind of like, this opportunity, that opportunity. Sometimes too many opportunities. But
Your volume might need to be up a little bit, Lane.
oh, really? Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear you. But there's an echo with your thing. I'm kidding, man. I just wanted you to know how it feels on the receiving end of that.
Man. Oh, that's really good. Okay, hey, if y'all are having thoughts or whatever, I'm going to invite you in a few. Yeah, maybe in another 15 minutes or so. I just want to get slightly practical, like, for people. Like, so if people have things that maybe they've always wanted to write a book, or they've always wanted to start this business, or they've had this thing sitting in them for a long time. What's been, either of you, what's your experience on how to move, how to go, how to take the steps that you feel like you should take? I think maybe what are some of the obstacles to that, and then why and how overcome them?
Yeah. I mean, I think the main obstacle is fear, right? Where a person might find themselves being afraid of what the thing would become. Will it be successful? Will people like it? Will it be good? Will it be good enough? And all of those questions and doubts typically stem in fear, right? A bit of fear. And so it's going to take some courage to just, like, go, to just do, right? Just to do. Some people like to say, just try this or try that. I'm not really into trying. It's like, just do it. Just do it, because if it doesn't work out, guess what? It's data. Now you have some information. Use that information however you will, right? But either which way, A person who's doing, you can't argue. You can't. A, the person, the quarterback who's on the field is never like in a position of inferiority to the guy sitting in the lazy boy,
Mm.
just pointing at the screen, pointing at a television screen. You should have. Why didn't you? You should have passed it when you. No, you're not on the field, sir. You
Mm.
quiet down now. So just doing is really the thing. Like when you just do a thing, it empowers you. That really empowers you. And then you learn how to do it, learn what not to do, learn how to do better, learn how to fine tune, learn how to cut things out. But the doing, just starting is the key, because that lets you know that fear didn't win. You could be nervous. It's all right. If you anything amazing and beautiful and wonderful, you're gonna have some butterflies in your stomach. That's fine. Do it. Do it with that, right? But don't let that paralyze you and stop you, right? These questions of what if and what about this and what about that? Like there's that study that was done, where they just talked to a lot of senior citizens, right? And they found that across the board, they asked them about regrets, right? They asked all of these older folks about regrets, and across the board, all of their regrets were things that they didn't do. It wasn't that they regretted the things that they had done. It was what they didn't do
Mm.
when they had the time to do it. That there's something to take away from that, right? Like, what stopped them from doing these things? Fear. The idea that people might not like it, their opinions mattered so much that it stopped them from doing a thing, whatever the thing is. Write the book. Oh, but I don't know how to write the book. I want to start this. Start it. Oh, I want to do comedy. Do it. Oh, I want to start preaching. Do it. Just do it. Just be a doer. There's too many people out here talking about stuff. And then there's people who talk about the people who talk about it. Screw that. Just go do something, man. Just go do it. If you go do it, there's not a whole lot that people can say about. They can talk about it, but that's all they will be doing is talking about what you did and what you're doing.
Mm.
That puts you in a different class.
Mm. Mm.
That's the creators class. That's the class that I signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be out there with the doers. Hmm.
Yeah,
Mm. That's good.
good. That's real good.
Echo
I,
Man, you got something to say?
yeah. I want first. I want to just echo that uh, sentiment. Um, in in good seasons, feelings determine actions. In hard seasons, actions lead your feelings. And so meaning this, there's times when we feel creative. I feel like a writer today. Therefore I'm going to, and then when I feel like that, that's going to lead me into that action. But most of the time, when we're working on projects, we may start with a lot of motivation, but most of the time, about midway through, we start to kind of get low on the energy of it and the excitement of it. And from that point on, we can't rely on the feelings to dictate whether or not we're going to take action. What we have to do is see it as a job. I'm going to take actions, and the actions I take, those are going to be the cheerleaders that root on my feelings eventually. Because right now the team is losing, but the cheerleaders are still pretty and they're still rooting for me. And so so we have to take action in order for, and so when we just don't have the feeling, sometimes the action that we can take is this. Vision comes through exposure. And what I mean by that is we will never have a vision to do more if we don't get around people who have done more. We don't get around larger things than we've accomplished. And so I remember back when I knew that I wanted to travel for a living. I didn't know exactly what that was. I began my thing as a teenager. I wanted to be a rock star. You know, I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a rapper, a famous rapper. When I was 13 years old, E.T. Fresh. That was my name back then. You know, but I always knew I wanted to travel. So in my early 20s, what I would do is I would take myself to an airport. I would literally just take myself to the airport, and this is when you could just walk in and you weren't questioned for a bunch of stuff, you know. And I would take myself in there and I would get around people who were traveling, because no one was inviting me to do anything. I had nothing people were like, oh, I want you to come in to do this. And no one was doing any of that, but I needed to put myself into. So sometimes the action isn't like I'm going to write a chapter today. Sometimes the action is I'm going to watch on YouTube someone who is writing and teaches a course on how to do this or how to do that, how to make a paragraph interesting. Sometimes the action is exposing ourselves to something else. Vision for something more comes through exposure to something more. That's what I found.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it does help a lot to see what others are doing. Actually, every artist steals. I mean, that's just a way to go about it. Like, because inspiration does come from outside sources, not just necessarily what's on the inside. And I think hopefully we get Mike back here in a minute, but I think what I've found is I keep going to that puzzle piece analogy that you mentioned, but it's like the act of creating. Sometimes we live in this culture where everything is so monetized, and that if we don't see a direct path on how to make money from our time, then we maybe won't think it's important that we do the thing that's in us to do.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is the reason the thing's in you to do it is not for money. I mean, if money is a part of that, then that's beautiful. But the gift you're being given is the experience of allowing that thing to come through you, and you get to know a bigger part of yourself that you will never get to know another way. And you will also connect to other people that you would never get to connect to if you don't release that creativity that's on the inside of you. It's like back to your story, Elijah, about being a preacher for 15 years. It's like, if you never went out and did stand up, even though the first time you got no laughs for 3 minutes, you know, it's like, if you never did that, how many people in your life today and relationships would you not have if you would have stayed in that lane?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's significant, right? Probably the majority of your life at this point, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting too. You know, I teach that, that a gift it works two ways. A gift is first a gift to you, and then it's a gift through you. And so a lot of times we will not embark upon something that we really feel like I wish I would write a book. I wish I would. It's in us, but we're afraid it's not going to be good. But guess what? No one's good when they first start doing something. It's first a gift to us, and so writing may be a gift to playing instruments. I'm here. My son's got all his instruments in this room. I see guitars, keyboards, drums, all kinds of stuff. And as a musician myself, I can tell you, as a drummer, the first 2 years of drumming was not a gift through me to anybody else.
Right.
It was a gift from heaven to me. It was an escape. It was a place where I could do, and I poured myself in. I wasn't good yet. And so a lot of people don't start something because they feel like, I'm not good yet. You're not supposed to be good yet. You're supposed to enjoy the gift that is going to be part of your life and part of the process. And you'll learn so many things through the process. And then eventually, as you operate in that gifting, it becomes not just a gift to you, it becomes a gift through you to others. But that's down the road. So our job is to, if we say we're a writer, it's simple to fix the problem of like I want to be a writer. There's a book in me, but so the problem is what makes you not a writer is that you don't write. And so what's the solution to not writing? Getting in there and writing one sentence. Guess what? You wrote one sentence. You're a writer. You do an open mic night at a comedy club. Guess what? You're a comic. You may not be the full potential that you're going to grow into, but none of us are. We're all still growing. I don't care who you are. If you're developing your gift, you're still growing. And so that's how you get over it. Action will proceed. It will go first, and then feelings will follow, like I said before.
Yeah, that's right. Because where is the line when you are the thing? It's just when you start. It's just when you start.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I do.
And how many times too have you heard someone share something and other people were like, "That is so good," and you're thinking, "Is it really?" Because I've heard way better than that. I didn't think that was
Right.
impressive. But to somebody, that first sentence that you wrote, it really is great. That was like mind blowing to them. And so we never know something that is like not great to us at that moment in our life. Like, oh yeah, but this and that. Someone else can be looking at it and go, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing."
That's true. I do want to open it up to people. If you want to jump in the conversation, there's so this is going to be a little different than how it normally is, but there's a button somewhere on the bottom of my screen, but it should say like live call in. It's like a live call in feature. And so if you want to jump in, just hit that button and then I'll see it pop up. Oh, you don't see it, Jane? Let me see.
Or she was just saying, nope, she does not want to. Okay, no, there's no
buttons to join. Let's see. I swear I had. Oh, Mike is trying to log back in. And it's in the middle of the screen if on a laptop, Lisa said. Thanks, Lisa. Lisa's our technical support tonight, if y'all need assistance. All right, Elijah, let's keep going while people are figuring out this interface. Oh, you know what? I want to know about stand-up comedy. To me is brutal. Like, it is raw, in your face, in the moment. There he is. Hey, Michael.
Yay!
And with that, we're going to wrap it up for the evening.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I was just going to, Elijah, just break down stand-up comedy, will you? Like, as far as how the heck you started approaching it and how you found, what's that like working through that difficulty? Because if other people are trying to write a book, I would say stand-up comedy is probably a lot more intimidating and challenging because it's like in the moment. Oh, Mike's gone again.
Oh no, did Mike leave again?
He's in and out. Well, there he is.
Oh, here he comes. Okay, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So I think. Well, first I had a. Remember, I told you I was a communicator for quite a few years before that. So I can't really speak to the person who's never gotten up on a stage and spoke. It's always been kind of like I was the class clown. I didn't mind being seen. It was my only way for attention. It would keep me from getting, whatever was coming my way kind of thing, whether it be bad grades or a good beat down at the end of class kind of thing. So I always leaned on comedy as that. So I never had that kind of like, I'm so nervous to get up there. It was like, just get me up there like that. So those people who feel like, man, I could never do this. I would say just, the way you prove that wrong is just to do it. Like Mike was saying earlier, you just get up there and do it. Now, I would suggest that you write something, write three minutes of something that you feel like is funny. And then just go find you open mic, find you something that is, and you don't have to be good. You don't have to be good. Here's what I suggest to people. There's one friend that you have that every time you talk, it doesn't matter how long it's been, you're just right back on the same page and you all cut up, you all send each each other texts that are out of control. You all like there's that one friend that everyone has. So you could have multiple, but there's at least one that is just like you are the most comfortable version of you with that friend. When you get up there on stage, just pretend you're talking to that friend. Those people in the crowd at that point, they don't exist. On your first 1 to 3 years, you pretend you're talking to that friend until you talk yourself into, I'm comfortable doing this. Every time I get up here, I'm comfortable doing this. And so, I mean, I've been cussed out on stage. I've been, I've, oh, there's some good stuff, but it is what it is.
That's good. Well, I have a
But it's
10-minute
not.
monologue I wrote. I'd like to read it and tell me if it's funny. No,
I
I'm
will.
kidding. Uh, is this Michelle and Andrew and the group? Is it?
Yep.
Hey, y'all. So Mike and Elijah, these guys are in New Jersey,
Oh, sweet.
and they put us up on a projector in their house, and people come over and hang out.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
welcome. Yeah.
There you are.
Hey.
Hey.
So cool. What are y'all up to? Did you have a thought, a question, comment, criticism?
Yeah, I had a question. Because it's kind of like the journey that I am on personally, but I feel like it would be good to hear outsider perspectives for the whole room. Earlier, you guys were talking about, just allowing creativity to flow through and learning how to do that from a place of just being who you are. But I've recognized, even in my own journey and in a lot of people that I encounter, not everybody knows who they are. A lot of people, they're not, like, for instance, me and my background, I was not raised in a home or even had people in my life that taught me how to do that. I was very much a product of my environment for a long time. And so I just wanted to ask, like, what would your guys' advice be for someone who they want to start getting to know who they are and how to fully step into themselves and their own uniqueness?
Great question.
It's an amazing question.
All right, Mike, what you got?
The $1 million question. No, it's so there's only really one book that I would recommend, that I like to recommend to people, that I feel good about recommending to people, and it happens to be on this exact subject. It's a book by Madeline L'Engle, who she wrote a Wrinkle in Time. The book is called Walking on Water, and it is all about faith and creativity in that intersection. And there's some really good stuff in there, right? So I recommend that, just as like you're gonna journal through this whole book. I promise you. Um, finding Getting a clue of who you are is a paramount issue, right? And we get clues on who we are by following these breadcrumbs that I think that God puts out for us, right? So if you are if you've been around, let's say you had a parent who took all of the neighborhood kids in, right? And so all of the kids are at your house hanging out. She feeds everybody. She gives everybody ices, whatever. She's caring. Your mom is a mother hen type of character, takes care of all of the neighborhood kids. And you're there. If you're enjoying that, there's something of that activity that's a breadcrumb. Pay attention, right? So then later on, you find yourself working at a daycare, doing something out of school, doing something at your church group, and it's like, oh, I'm drawn to work with the kids. Okay, breadcrumb. Keep following the trail. As you are doing that, when you start doing the things that feel natural to you, if you pay attention to those things, you can start reflecting on, wait a minute, I'm this type of person, right? Because what we do is not who we are, but what we do points to who we are. There's a scripture that says, it talks about the heart and it talks about money, right? Where your heart is, or where your treasure is, your money, your heart will follow. People think that it's the opposite way. Like wherever your heart is, that's where your treasure will follow. No. It says where your treasure is, that's where your heart will follow. If Lane just is like, hey Mike, I'm gonna give you $100,000, you better believe he's invested in me doing something good with that money, right? Like he's thinking about me. He's hoping that I like do the best, have the best possible outcome. In other words, he's praying for me, right? Because his treasure, he put his treasure with me. And so now he's thinking wonderful, good, positive thoughts about me. Where your treasure is, your heart follows. In that same way, that same dynamic, the things that your hands are busy with, the things that you're doing, if you follow the breadcrumbs, you find out a bit more about yourself, right? Like, why is it that you enjoy being in front of people? Is that, or is it an escape? Is it freedom? Is it liberation? Is it, right? Because there could be different reasonings, but you start finding out a bit about yourself, because it's not about finding yourself. It's not about like, uh, the more you know about yourself, the more you're gonna understand that we might not know, right? But
Mhm.
but you get clues. You get clues, and then the more, I think, the more you connect with your creator, the closer you get to understanding your your specific unique blueprint, right? Like why you're designed the way that you are, who you are in this world, in your family, all of those things. But all of it's a funny thing to talk about, because you actually just have to live and be. But you can follow these breadcrumbs, you can follow the clues, and you can get clues along the way and say, you know what, I actually was just doing that because people wanted me to, or because I thought my family wanted me to do that. I actually don't really align with that particular thing, that activity. What am I really about? Oh, I really love literature. Okay. Are you a scholar? Are you this? Are you that? So you can just start like finding the map to you, but that's through, but you actually have to be, you can't, is not about sitting around and talking about it and just thinking about it. It's easier to move a ship that's already in motion than to try to turn a docked, anchored ship around, on a dime. Get moving, get grooving. Hey, this might not be the path. Just turn a little bit. It's easy. It's not a big deal. But it is a big deal if you're still and you're not moving at all. It's going to be hard to turn that cruise ship around. If you're going and you need to go a little bit left, go a little bit left. But I think that it's just a matter of like following breadcrumbs, getting clues along the way, listening, listening, listen, like pay attention to what people say about you. I'm talking about, just a few minutes ago, I'm talking about be courageous, fearless, all of that. Yes, but but with reason though, right? Not that we're not to be fearless or courageous, I should say. But Jesus asked Peter, he said, who do men say that I am? He was curious. Who do men say you are? It doesn't have to define you. Just get your breadcrumbs. Just get your clues along the way. When I show up, who do people think I am? oh, I never thought about that. Just get your clues. And then you can take inventory of all of that. Who you think you are, who people think you are, who your family thinks you are, where you put your time and your energy and your passions, and then just make an equation. But you got to just be doing, just living and being and giving things a really good go. And I think we find those clues along the way. That was
That's
a
so
lot.
good.
I'm sorry.
That was great. You made me think of a couple just really quick notes, and then James, I'm going to get to you. Like I totally everything you said really resonated, and I've found when you try to define yourself or know what is my unique expression was like your question. Well, your unique expression is really infinite. Like there is no point when you've got there and expressed it. There's just going to be more to express, and it might come out in different ways. So it is the journey. It is like Mike saying, just go, just do. I've been doing music for 25 years, and I've found that I've gravitated towards certain musicians and ways of doing things, and it's all created this soup to eventually express something that I feel like, wow, that doesn't sound like anybody, but I can hear. It's like a mixture of everybody, but so there's influences, there's discovery, it's a journey. It is like cooking, and there is no wrong answer. The only wrong answer is just doing nothing. But if you do something, you will change, you will turn. And the other part that goes with that, and I know you know this, but we do this with spirituality, but it's the same with creativity. It's just being very, very honest with yourself. If you can be honest and sincere, you can get to those answers quicker. Like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I just doing this because people are expect me to do this? And if you can get to that honest place in your heart, then you can make a choice of I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. But sometimes it takes people a while to get to that honesty because of, they're nervous about what people might say or whatever. But if you can just dive in and be as real as you can with yourself, you're kind of on the fast track to just expressing yourself. And then you get to just take the limits off and enjoy the things you're going to enjoy and allow them to mold you in certain ways. And this is a nice thing about not being in like religious circles is that because they will craft you too, how to think, fit in the box. Does this fit? Is this really ministry? Is this really good or bad? Or is this too worldly? Or all those weird thoughts? None of those are creative thoughts. Those are just like things you have to just sweep away and let your mind let go and just trust yourself and create and have fun. I hope that helps. Elijah really didn't like what I said. He just left.
I'll give you this one this other little thing just because I don't know if there's a particular like blanket answer for such a question, but I learned who I am in this world while I'm here. I learned that just through a whole lot of prayer, a whole lot of just like being alone with God, being around people a lot. I love people. And for me, it was like I wrote a lot, right? And so if you journal, if you have a diary, if you do anything like that, just write those things down because sometimes those clues that I was talking about, we might not understand them fully at certain points, right? But then later on, we'll get it. That's why they're clues. That's why they're breadcrumbs. I wrote something down when I was 18, and I didn't really understand what I was writing. And then when I was like 20, it hit, and it was exactly who I was. Not just what I'm going to do, but who I am, the type of person that I am that exists in this world. I got it. Not got it completely. End of the journey. I made it. Game over. No. But I got the soul and the essence of who I am. And that has been my like North Star. And so I always follow the things that have that type of texture in it. I'm a fire starter. I know that. So what is it that where am I being led? What opportunities are before me that align with who I am, who these clues that I've picked up, right? So if you write, keep writing, because sometimes we get these things, we might wake up in the morning, like there's a whole other part of us that goes to sleep for a lot of, a big part of our life we spend sleeping, right? Something is happening. So when you wake up in the morning, don't just go to the internet or go to a cup of coffee. Let some of that stuff, whatever was germinating in your sleep, right? Do something with that. Like, let something out, because it might be like giving you some clues. That's what I got.
Was that helpful, Michelle? Was that fun? Hi, James. Welcome. I'm gonna unmute you here, James. How you doing, James?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Is it appropriate to ask a question?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. My question is, I've done a ministry that was on my heart for about 3 years now. Invested. I'm on disability income, so I didn't have much money, but I invested pretty much all my money into a ministry that's called Greatest Love Ministries. And during those 3 years that I'm just finishing up now, it's almost like my question is can there be like an incubation period to where you're trying to do something but it hasn't come all together yet, like you still are answering questions you have in and of yourself, and it's like you had different ideas and you were trying to do it but it wasn't being successful, and now after 3 years of work I think I'm getting some answers as to the direction I was supposed to be going in. But it was kind of like I felt like I needed to do something with my ideas, and I put that in motion, but it wasn't really being successful. And it's almost like I went down 3 years that feels like almost a waste of time, except to get me to this point. So if you have any comments or suggestions about this incubation period type thing where you're still, or God's still trying to put the pieces together for you, but you're trying, it's just, it's like you have to pay your dues or something. I don't know how to explain it.
That's a good question. It's a good question. I'm going to just mute your mic. There's some background noise, but you're fine. I'm going to just, guys, any thoughts on what he's talking about? I know I've had a lot of incubation periods, but go ahead, Elijah.
Yeah, I would just point back, echo, if you will, to Michael's earlier statements about steering the ship to the left. You know what I'm saying? Like, just non-apologetically, this is the direction that you see is going to be the more productive direction. No matter where you started, it led you to this point. And so now it's time to shift and pivot that direction, and not have to, if there's certain things that we need to be transparent about, but there's also an order to not having to apologize to each and every person for shifts that we make in our life, or in our ministry, and so you just got to use wisdom on what that is and when that is and who that is to. But I think along my course I have thought, oh, this is going to be it, and then it's like, oh, I got down the road, it's like, well, that's not completely like that, and this is going to be it, and this could, if you were to ask me when I was 13 years old, what was I going to be? I was going to be E.T. Fresh, a famous rapper. Well, that's not what I was introduced as tonight. No one's bought, you know what I'm saying? And then I was going to be this, and I was going to be that. But all of those things led me to the rapper season and me freestyling in the parking lots led me to have a thicker skin. I no longer was a shy, intimidated little character worried about everything. And that would come in handy in my 40s when I needed to have thicker skin because I have these other challenges. 13-year-old me that thought I didn't make it because I had to shift courses. That was actually a great course that God allowed me to be on. And the things that were in an essence or in a sense meant to crush me, if I take them that way, the failures, the misdirects, they were actually just weights that were there to condition me and make me stronger and that I could use. And so so that's what I would say. And if it's the case of where you're looking for a season where you'll always have all the answers, man, we're always going to be maturing and growing. Caterpillar is moving forward, not knowing that he's going to eventually just have a complete meltdown inside the cocoon and then come out a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying? So he was, but continuing to move forward. And then when you are, which just sounds like you were probably in the season of cocoon, where it's just like, oh no, now the things that were before are falling. That caterpillar literally has to fall apart on the inside of that cocoon. And then it comes out and it goes into a soaring season, but it can't happen without the meltdown. It can't happen without the isolation. And so I would take it as that, put on a different pair of glasses to see it through a different lens and move the direction you're supposed to move.
That was good.
Yeah.
James, I hope that helps because that was really good. Yeah, here, let me.
James, I'm sorry if there was an echo.
James, was that helpful?
That's okay. But thank you for that. That helps. Because it is kind of like being a cocoon, and I have to let that caterpillar die and grieve that caterpillar dying. But I'm seeing the butterfly coming out now, and I'm getting excited about the butterfly coming out. But I had to go through that. God knows me. He knows my heart. He knows my history. He knows everything about me. He knew I had a love for him and wanted to do ministry, but he had to shape me. He had to form me. He had to change me from a cocoon, from a caterpillar to a butterfly where I could start to fly. And that was a painful.
James, let me ask you something. What would you think if the butterfly were to fly back down and walk on the ground like the cocoon it used to be? Wouldn't you think it's wasting a lot of potential?
I think it'd be very disorienting. It wouldn't fit anymore. It's like I'm not a caterpillar anymore. I'm so overwhelmed and excited about being a butterfly. I'm focused on who I am now, not what I used to be and what I had to do to get here.
Yeah, and so that's what I would focus on in your verbiage and in the way that you communicate to others. Like I said, there are conversations that do probably need to happen along our pathway where we explain to others, but not to everyone. And so it's when it's time to soar in a new season, get up there and soar and consider yourself. It would be foolish for the butterfly to get back down there and crawl like it used to as a caterpillar, because you put your time in, you put your work in as a caterpillar. So that's what I would say, is just guard your language around it, because you don't want to apologize for the season that you have earned to be in.
That's really good. That's really good. With that, I want to shift over to Rick. Rick is coming to us from Australia, and he has a great accent. Rick, could you unmute your mic? There we go. How's it going, Rick? We can't hear you. I lied about the accent. No, I don't know. Your mic's not picking up. And Mom's in the chat. Mom said, would love to come in and say hi, but not working too well. Like, it's hard to get on. Is that what's going on? I don't really know. Well, technical difficulties prevail. Elijah, that was great. Like what you shared. That was good. Could you say it again so we could have the echo?
If I could remember it, I would.
Let's see if anyone had any. While we wait for Rick to get his mic done. I really liked what they asked too out of the home church in New Jersey there. That was a really good question about finding yourself and finding yourself in creativity. And I you know what would be great, guys? Can you this is one thing I wanted to touch on as what time is it? We're kind of coming in for a landing, and in the next few minutes, I wanted to just kind of bridge the gap between, we kind of have been all night, but creativity and spirituality, where, because I find when I went to acting school years ago, and it was really like art school, and one thing that became really apparent was that all art is the same essentially. Like art tells the truth. Art can heal. You know, the things that, even how you go about approaching art or acting specifically. And I found that it really coincides seamlessly with real spirituality or our internal life, like that process of growing and transitioning and becoming a person. But how do you all approach it, like from your creative standpoint? Because you both do things that are not like inside churches all the time. I know, Elijah, you have a bunch, and Mike, you have too, actually. But just in general, creating stuff, like how does God and spirituality play together with you in your creative process? Either or.
Might go.
Daring contest. Ready, go.
Doesn't happen without the other. My creativity is my spirituality. That's it. That's it. I don't get to create if I'm not digging, if I'm not curious in here. There's nothing to create. There's nothing, just nothing. All of the questions, all of the prayers, all of the searching, all of that leads to the things that I'm making, that I'm creating. Because all of my creations are part of the dialogue. It's just an extension of that dialogue, that those questions, the things that are illuminating to me. All of that just comes out through creating. And creating doesn't have to be for anybody. It could just be for me. Right? And when I'm writing or making a little video or doing something, I'm all of that is spiritual. All of it. And when it's not, I want to sidestep it. I want to erase or say no, or crumble that one and throw it. And it doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be accurate. It just has to be honest for me. Right? Like, that's why I loved something that you said earlier, Elijah, where you talked about how it was a question. It wasn't a "thus saith the Lord" of, it was a question. Could it be? Could it be that you like here for this? Like, could it be? Well, there's a lot of questions, and people act like spirituality has to be like right. No, spirituality is has to be honest. It doesn't have to be right.
Mhm.
David didn't get it right all the time. Like nobody is just have to be honest. That's how you get to the peace. That's how you get to a place of peace. You don't get there through lies, that's for sure. God can't bless a lie. So this is just honest. Hey, I'm messed up right now. Guess what? If I wrote that song, that's creative.
Mhm.
I don't have to be okay to create. A lot of my stuff comes from like real melancholic states where I'm like super pensive, maybe even a little bit of struggle, just like really, how is this? What is this? How should this be? What am I feeling? Nah, 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 nah. And that is when like I create a lot of amazing stuff because it's just real and raw and honest. And I'm trying to find answers. That's why when you see somebody who finds success, like major success, their art doesn't feel the same because they're not really looking for answers. They got their
Mhm.
feet up. And not that everything has to be a struggle. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it just needs to be honest. And
I think can you guys hear him?
No.
Yeah, I think Mike, if you can hear me, Mike, your mic cut out. I don't think he can hear us. What a good point, though.
Yeah, it's great.
That was like, I loved hearing that. Like, Mike, can you hear us? You can't. I think it cut out. Yeah, it cut out. Your feed cut out. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Anyone know sign
Well,
language?
we could most of it.
Yeah, we got most of it. That was such a good point, though. Like creating from that place of melancholy when this, like, if just being honest, because I think, especially in faith circles, the idea is you got to have your ducks in a row before you can express anything.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
Mhm.
Let me say hi to Kevin. Rick, your mic's still not working, huh? I can't hear you, Rick. You can hear us though.
Hey, Lane. Before we go to Kevin, can I just talk on that point for
Yes,
just 1 second?
definitely. Yes.
Because I had a thought while he was expressing is that creativity. I view creativity as a creative, and we're all creative, okay? Because we're created in God's image. DNA is in us to be a creator, and it doesn't mean we're going to be a painter or songwriter, but we are creative beings. But Romans talks about that we present ourselves a living sacrifice. Romans chapter 12, verse 1, it says, I beseech you that you present yourself a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable act of worship, reasonable act of service, in some translations, reasonable act of worship. And so I view creativity as our form of worship, as a form of worship to God, because it is alive. It is a living thing that operates in us and through us, the creative giftings that he's given us. And so it is our responsibility to present those back to God. So if I'm like the parable of the master that goes away and he gives the guys some talents, and 1 talent, 5 talents, 10 talents over here, and the one with the one buried it, and he's like, I don't want. I believe in a sense that our creativity was given to us by God, And that is the living thing within us that we are to present back to him as a form of worship. It's only reasonable, is what the scripture says. It's our reasonable act of worship. And so this helps us in those moments when we don't feel like creating to know, well, wait a minute, I'm going to create. Why? Because this is a way that I worship God. And that's what connects me spiritually to this thing. My creativity connects to my spirituality because they are one. I connect to God through the giftings that I'm returning back to God that he entrusted me with. When he comes by, he doesn't have to dig up in the dirt. What did you do with what I left you? I am presenting it as an act of worship every time I create something on a post. And it doesn't have to look Christian. It doesn't have to look spiritual. It doesn't have to. Anytime I release something that was never before into this atmosphere that will never not be again because I released it, that's an act of worship that God entrusted me with. And why? Because other people are looking to us as creators because something's going to spark in them and say, oh, you know what? That gives me an idea. And then that thing is going to do something else in their life and stuff. And so that's where, for me, that's where the two connect. Spirituality and creativity are one. They just belong together. And our responsibility is to bring the creativity to God as a form of worship.
That's cool. That's cool. I want to see if Rick's mic's working real quick. Rick, is your mic working?
Can you get me now or not?
We got you. Yes.
Cool. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Sorry
and
about
thanks,
that.
Kevin, for being patient. Thanks for jumping up here. We'll come over to you in a second. Rick, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Lane. Hey, guys. It's been really encouraging. Just bear with me for a sec, but I'm in a whole new world that I didn't think I belonged in. I spent the last 30 years cruising around working for a tobacco company and I've surfed my whole life. So I'm like a surf bum that was quite happy by himself and his own little relationship and building his own relationship, but not real comfortable around the church environment and not real comfortable really around people, I guess. And now I find myself in this whole new world where God's given me responsibility for a small community of church. And I've written a book. I really loved what you said. And that was that we just enjoy the gift. Because there was no way I was ever going to write a book. I was just enjoying writing. And then Robin Smith said, come on, Rick, let's turn it into a book. So, and then you got all that fear and anxiety about, is this just a crap thing or not? So, it's just been really good. But I guess my question is, like, what do you do when you just don't have the skill to take the next step? Like, we've developed a website and we've got all this product from a product perspective. Well, the things are there, but it's just out of my league, really. And I've got a few people around that can help, but it's just you can see how it should look, and yet it's a long way from what it should look like in your head. So anyway, I'll just chuck it out there.
That's a good question. I think from personal experience, I do one of two things. I either go and learn more and invest time if it's something I want to learn, or if not, I try to find people that I can just bring on to do the things that I want to do. And sometimes you have to wait a little bit if it's a resource thing or if it's maybe everything else isn't in place. But there's a way, though. If you have a vision for something, it's so beautiful to see something come to pass the way you want it to be. One thing I do, and I do a lot of production work, but one thing I learned really early on was that if we don't do it the way that I like it and see it, like from the beginning, it will never be good. There's no way to take lousy ingredients and make the beautiful dinner that I want to serve. And so I became really particular, not anal. I love people. I love camaraderie. I love having a good experience with people on sets, but I became very, very specific and particular about what my demands were in a nice way. But And so, and without that, I never feel like I'll never feel good about what I did if I don't invest all that time, effort, energy into making it that. So it's like you're kind of at the place of you can just let it be, but it will never turn into that vision unless you engage with it, you know, on some level. I think you already know the answer, but you just have to decide, do I really want to go for this or not? Like Mike said in the beginning, when we were traveling around going for it, we were going for it. Like we were just we we knew what we knew, and we just went where we went, and we did a lot of traveling, a lot of ministry, but it was like just go and use your energy and spend your energy and see what happens. And and I find that if I dive into anything and spend my energy on something, if I get to that point, like it always turns out good. It really does.
Yeah.
But you gotta like do the investment part. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
That's good. That's good.
Did you have a thought on that, Mike?
No, I would echo most of that. I think just there's never a time where we can't learn. So, and we have so much when it comes to skill sets. We have so much available to us that maybe we didn't before, or it wasn't as accessible. There's so much knowledge and information, you know, where we could learn just about anything nowadays. If I wanted to learn how to like launch a rocket into space, I could probably figure it out. I could YouTube it.
Mhm.
YouTube University.
Mhm.
No, but you know, there's all of that, but there's all of these, there's so many books, and there's so many people who do the things that we, at least close enough to something that we're inspired by, so we can just like get around those folks, learn from those folks, hear their stories, glean what we can, and just learn more.
And sometimes I feel like the answer is, since we do have all this information, the answer is really going to be honest with yourself and see if it's something that you really want to do. Like deep down, do I want to does this need to be better than it is? You know, some things don't. Some things you don't need to spend a month like invested in this thing. You know, I don't know. Sometimes I find myself stepping back and swimming in opportunity, and then I'll get into something a little bit, and I'll say, how much time do I really want to invest in this, and what's really important to me? And so that sometimes, like James's question, but sometimes shifting directions is the move. So be honest. Kevin, I know, has a specific question about jokes. So I'm guessing you want to hear from Elijah. I don't know why, but Kevin, did you have a question or something or a comment? Oh, it's the mic thing. Is it? Are you muted? So it doesn't say you're muted on our end. Rick, what did you have to do? Leave and come back?
Well, I do see a mute. I see a muted thing on the mic on my screen.
Oh, try it now. No.
I left and then I had to allow the mic. It actually
Oh.
asks you to allow.
Oh,
You know how it, like if you
Oh.
leave and then it pops up in the upper left, like allow the microphone on this website. Like that's usually what it is. It's like a browser thing.
Yeah. So when you're coming in, you've got to allow for it. Can I ask one more, just a quick
Yeah.
question, guys? The reality is that I found myself in a space that I didn't think I belonged, and it's like, Father, what the hell are we doing here? You know, our space is out wandering around in the wilderness by ourselves, cruising and enjoying life, and now all of a sudden we're in a whole new space and a whole new world, and what's going on? Because I can see that we're starting to fit, but it's just a bit surreal because it's like you sort of never imagined that you fitted in that environment, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So, and I've just put Michael to sleep. So
Nah.
No, Mike is he lives on 3 hours of sleep like every
sorry, man.
every
I just
time I
had
go
to chuck
visit him.
that. I was trying a bit of Elijah comedy there.
Kevin's coming in.
Sorry.
Guys, Rick is one of the Rick and I have got to know each other over the past year and a half or so, and just a cool, beautiful human being, and I want to go to Australia and visit. And his wife is incredible, incredible. I wish she's not on tonight, Rick.
Nah, she's working today because
Oh
it's
yeah,
only it's
today.
like
Right.
11:45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin, does your mic working? No, we can't hear you. I could read your lips. No, can't hear you. It's not working. I don't know. It didn't pop up with the permissions. I don't know. Try to figure it out for another minute. We are really. Does anyone else have any questions or anything, or want to jump in? Last call. We're making the last call.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm so excited to come on, but can't. Okay, no worries. Mike, my mom's in chat. You know mom. And Elijah, you know mom too. Y'all both know my mom. David's calling in with the following question. Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm a part of the home group.
Nice.
So we've been talking a lot about like creativity and I guess like getting started, which is all like good. It's like my question is like more of like on I guess like on that same realm of like where do you go though like when you're like following that up, whether it be like you're writing the next book, whether that's a sequel or not, you're working on the next album, you're working on your next comedy set, et cetera, et cetera. Because it's kind of like I feel like it's harder to kind of I guess start from ground zero in that sense because the first time around you had like no expectations. Like I'm not just talking about like whether or not it was successful, but like I guess like when you're working on it, you didn't really have. Um, it's like you know when you see a movie, right? And it's like you're writing the movie. It's like you see the movie and there's like no expectation, and then when you see a sequel, there's kind of like that, you know. So I guess it's just more of like where, like, not necessarily where do you go, but like I guess like stepping into I guess that portion because that's where I'm at right now. So
That's cool. What's your medium, or what do you work in? Is it writing or?
yeah, I recently finished my first book. I've actually it's actually took me a while to get out of funk, but I've actually recently started picking up on writing the second one. This is a series, and of course I do the music stuff, but like
Cool.
yeah, yeah. So
That's a good question for Mike, because I think Mike, you do a lot of
yeah,
collections. Like you come out with pieces and pieces and pieces, and like one after the other. How do you approach, something successful? How do you keep your creative spark kind of flowing and on
mm,
to the next thing without hanging on to what you've done previously?
yeah.
Well, there's I operate off of momentum, and the momentum I created. It's like I'm building this thing, but it's a collaborative effort with my audience, right? And so I feed off of the audience, and I might launch something that goes super quiet that people do not respond to. Data, right? I don't get discouraged. It's data. Even if I get discouraged, it's data. It's like, okay, this people they connect to this, not that, for this reason, for that reason, for those things, right? And then I keep going because at a certain point, it's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. If I design, let's say, t-shirts, right? There's some t-shirts that I've put out that I thought were going to be bangers. It goes quiet. People don't respond to it. It's like, okay, it's just timing. But then I put something out that I think is kind of mediocre, and it's the craziest thing, and everybody loves it, and they go wild for it. And it's like, oh, y'all like that? Okay. So it's a numbers game, right? If I'm an athlete, if you shoot 100 shots, your percentage goes up. So if you put out one book and it's a success, then you're like, oh, that was a success. If it's not, you're like, well, that flopped. Well, if you never put another one out, then you won't know if it was successful, if that was accidental genius. If it flops, well, it's just a numbers game. Just keep working, and work. Like Elijah said, sometimes you don't feel like it. You have to keep working, right? Like in that book, that Madeline Lingle book, she gives this illustrative story about a guy who works in a clock store, right? Winding the clocks is the most unsexy thing you can do. No one likes it, no one's excited about it, but you have to do it because when a certain somebody comes in and they want to buy this special clock, if it's not wound to the right time, then it's pointless. But what happens on the days that nobody comes in? You still got to wind those clocks and be in that store and be ready. So I don't know exactly what you're feeling for that next hump, but I do know that it's like the person who's working and shaking, like those are the people who keep on excelling, right? Like when I look at film directors, Quentin Tarantino, uh, Wes Anderson, it's just like the more you do, the better you are, right? Because all of it is kind of like practice. That's why they call it a practice. But yes, it's like you just got to keep on working.
That's good. That's right on. Thanks for the question, David. Kevin, I think your mic's working now.
Can you hear me now?
We got you.
All right, there we go. There we go. Man, thank you guys so much. It was awesome. Michael, as much as I want to ask a question on jokes for Elijah, actually, specific to myself. But I do want to say I like Michael's point, the simplicity. He said earlier something that really stood out to me. That was like sometimes it was basically along the lines of sometimes you just have to do when you can't figure it out. Sometimes you just make a move, and then sometimes you have to shift a little, and then sometimes you know what I mean. And the spirit will kind of lead you in that direction, but you have to do something. My dad always used to say, if you want to clean your garage, the best place to start is just start. Not just staring at it. Just start doing it. But no, I wanted to ask Elijah because I think I'm funny. No one really else I don't think does, but I like to be. I can get really really coarse with my joking. Now you said you get cussed off stage, so I'm assuming you're not up there probably. I haven't seen any of your material yet. I'm interested to look after this, but you're not doing nursery rhymes, I'm assuming. And I wanted to see what your thoughts are on coarse joking and kind of what that looks like in your head and your experience and the way that you approach it. I lean more towards the freedom aspect of it, the non-religious, aspect. But at the same time, I've had a woman who I actually respect and try to listen to anything she says, kind of try to call me higher with my joking. So I'm still trying to figure out the line and what the right approach is on that, the way I talk.
Sure. I would say it probably needs to reflect what you talk like every day, and if you're not comfortable putting that on stage, then I would probably try to consider moving those boundaries in on your everyday talk. But if you are, what I'm saying? So it doesn't need to be a different version unless you're doing a character. It doesn't need to be a different version of you. Then all of a sudden, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Because it's got to be authentic, in order for people to really get behind it and get long term. So for me, I'll give an example. I'm not easily offended, and I'm around comics all the time, and so like some stuff that possibly that wouldn't work in a church. My stuff's the same inside a church, inside a club, inside a concert. It's the same. It's going to be the same kind of content. I build it and structure it that way. I always have. But that doesn't mean I don't go to places that are like, oh, can you talk about that? I non-apologetically go in and say things, but I give myself permission, and I try to use caution and wisdom to know that it's not coming from a place of. Anytime something comes from a place of fear or hatred, people can see that immediately. So even if you say a funny joke, but it comes from a place of I have a disdain for these kind of people or this kind of thing, it reads, and it projects. But as far as jokes go, I would find your own voice. Everyone spends their first 1 to actually about 5 years, so 3 to 5 years, really developing who you are on stage. And then after that 5-year period, sometimes you spend your first 5 years in there, and that's the same as anything else. Everyone, college used to be the thing. Everyone goes to college, and then after college, then you're kind of promised a this or that kind of deal. Culture has shifted and changed, but there's no escaping the 4 years of preparation and sharpening yourself in whatever it is you're doing. You're gonna go to college. And you won't really be ultimately, profitable at what you do until you start shining your gift up. And that takes time. And time for you is on stage. Time for you is saying yes to every opportunity that you can, and then listening to the voices, if those voices are important to you. And if you see that voice as something that, like, okay, I want to be what this woman is sharing with me, I want to, or if that is a moment where you like, you know what? That's I see what you're saying here, and you take it into. I would just say this. Now, I don't cuss on stage. I just don't. Because I already look questionable enough for a corporation which pays the big bucks. I need them to have my business strategy is that they can bring in the show, but it can be a safe place to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For their annual this or their annual that. And so what I am is I'm a storyteller. And so within that story, I've got finish lines, I've got timelines, and I've got punch lines. And so I've learned that I need to be making people laugh about once every 30 seconds. And so a story doesn't work that way, because a story can get boring, but it'd be interesting. They didn't come here just to do all this. They came here so I need to learn to write punchlines and one-liners. And so like a one-liner I use, I'm not a one-liner guy, but a one-liner I use is, hey everybody, I'm half Mexican, half white boy, which means I hire myself for a lot of jobs. Boom, that gets them right there. But I don't pay myself very well. You follow it up with that kind of, and so you just boom, you learn to put these little punches in to keep them in there. But if the question is, should I not curse? Should I not go into this kind of content? You decide that based off of who you are, who you genuinely are. And if you are not comfortable, that's what I would say. If you're not comfortable sharing and exposing that on a stage, then perhaps the mirror should go to the rest of our life and say, oh, well, maybe it's time I tighten up the screws in this area because I'm not comfortable displaying it. So that kind of deal. But if it is something like cursing, well, I mean, when the Bible is talking about cursing, the curse words we're talking about now, that's like let no corrupt thing exit your mouth and stuff like that. Curse words, we made those things up. Those words didn't exist back in the Bible. And so they're not talking about that kind of. They're talking about being curses to each other, speaking negative things over each other. That's what a curse is. And so I'm not saying you should go out there and just drop F-bombs everywhere, but I am saying that you need to, we need to unshackle ourselves from things that don't exist.
Well, And I know
if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. I know Lane's trying to, he's trying to be fair on time here. But I want to say, so I'm a carpenter. I don't want to give you the impression I'm not going in. My any joking I do is limited to, my workplace, my home life and things like that. But I love what you said. It's like if there's a desire to say things that probably that my heart that I feel a little bit of condemnation in, then I might actually kind of be exposing something to myself that needs to change on the inside. If it's something that I'm like, where would this be acceptable? And I'm like, well, the answer is probably just about nowhere. It's like that kind of exposes that to me on the inside but my joking is limited to job sites and and home life and work. But no, I love your answer. That was a good answer. But yeah, I couldn't be a stand-up comic. I've seen the number one, I'm just not that funny. Number two is I've seen the things I've heard, some comics talk about the stuff that they go through in order to get popular, and it's rough. I don't know
Yeah,
if
but you do manual labor for a living, so settle down with it's rough talking.
I think it's way worse to talk to a crowd of people, try to get them to laugh, and they all sit there silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's rough. That's bad.
Yeah, that's not fun.
All right, that was great. Everyone, thanks so much for participating. It's a little after 9. We're going to call it here. Definitely thanks for everyone. Thanks for the conversations. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Elijah. We'll do it again soon. Everyone, we have another event Thursday night with Malcolm Smith on GAN Plus. See y'all there, guys. Thanks again. Bye.